There he is. Come here, buddy. Wow, that's a pretty good nuke. Holy shit. Okay. Ooh. This build's disgusting. Hey, I'm Johnny Knoxville, and I just spent $5 billion on a pair of Frostburns, and I've been farming Duriel for 4 hours to get this Azurewrath. Let's see if we can get this one phase. We hit him with the jukes, and he's dead. Clip, clap, patty, whack, get your shit. Hey, what's going on, guys? Lurking here from Mobilytics, and Shroud of False Death has finally released, and it's amazing. Please replace Raiment in all your builds with Shroud of False Death. If you really need a pull, just use the Cry Rune, the Spiritborn Vortex. It's crazy. Look how much all stats that is, and look how much life I'm sitting at. It's nutty. But the key for these builds, I just scooped these babies for $5 billion off the trade site, is the lucky hit chance to deal fire and cold damage. If you look at Axial Conduit, it's got a value of 3,600. These values start at around 3,600, so about the same as an Axial Conduit when they're GA, and you can get masterwork hits on them. So I'd like to hit any combination of deal fire or deal cold damage. It doesn't make a difference. This is the same build as my other Chain Lightning build. We've just rearranged some things, but then we'll go over to Azurewrath. This is only upgraded to 4. It's already hitting really hard already. It's got a value of, again, like 3,800 or something, like before you even start to masterwork it. So you can probably get this, you get a couple masterwork hits on here, you can probably get this thing up to 6,000 or 7,000. It's still really strong. It was really strong in the PTR, in the Vessel of Hatred review build at 18,000, but at 8,000, 7,000, it's still no slouch. It's legitimate. And then we drop Splintering from the build as a whole because we need to scale 3 things. We need to scale Frostburn damage, Axial Conduit damage, and Azurewrath damage. And I think if you were to only run one of these, you would probably run Frostburns, and then you could run something like Conceited here. But our 2 damage aspects are Shredding Blades and Storm Swell, because they will scale all of our damage. Our Chain Lightning, our Axial damage, our Frostburn, and our Azurewrath. You want generic damage multis. Then you have your Starless and your Talrasha. That shit's just super standard right now. I need boots because I need some mana per second, and it's the only place I can actually get armor. We have Orange Herald here. Orange Herald. We have Orange Herald there. And I'm finding that because Frostburns, especially in farm content, because Frostburns and Azurewrath are doing a lot of the killing, and the damage that you proc from them cannot lucky hit, because, you know, you use the lucky hit to proc them, I'm not getting a ton of Orange Heralds off. So I think I need to use Orange Herald in combination with something like Lith Zek. Stand still while fighting for 2.4 seconds, and it will reduce my ultimate cooldown by 2 seconds. And that's to be determined whether I should use Lith or Pak, which is the spend resource. I'll do some testing. And then you have your Tam Ohm for your Warcry. Shroud of False Death is goated, but let's nuke. I know my gear is pretty good. My amulet's cracked, but I barely, you know, the Frostburn and the Azurewrath themselves, I barely have, you know, even taken to their full potential. I know the Frostburns are GA, but I digress. I haven't hit all the masterworks. Let's check out this butcher. All right, he's dead. But you know, it's a horde, so it's nothing too fancy. But we'll take it into some bosses and some pits, maybe like a pit 85. Maybe see if we can do a pit 90. We'll see. I don't exactly know where it's gonna end up. Is this better than Fireball? Probably not, dude. Fireball's hitting for 7 billion. This is just pretty nice, and it's kind of fun. And no, I will not be using Shatter. But really not having any mana issues, just with this lucky hit restore roll here. let's see. So we'll have to shore up the all-res a bit. That is a bit of an issue. But what you can always do to solve that is go like this. Well, I don't have one, but there's an incense that gives you a bunch of all-res. You should probably be running that. You should probably be running 3 incense anyways. I just don't, because you need all the XP to get your paragon points. You should basically permanently have an elixir on and 3 incense. Yeah, because you do so much, you actually do, in these teleport builds, you really do a lot of standing still. That Lith rune, where you generate 25, like basically 75 resource a second for standing still. Especially in a build like this, where you're literally just bopping around. That rune's crazy. It goes dummy hard. Hey, what's going on, guys? I just ran a T85. It took 5 minutes. My gear's pretty solid, so I'd say, you know, there's some room for improvement here. I'm thinking it'll cap around a T95 because the T85, if it takes me like 5 minutes, that's sort of my guesstimate based on the scaling. But with the obusite that I just got from that horde, I was able to get a double masterwork on Frostburn on the damage portions, which is amazing. And I was able to get a double on this Azurewrath. So we got a lot of, it's been nice. And because of all the attack speed from Frostburns, as you see, I'm at 90%. So I have the GA on attack speed doesn't do anything. I have too much attack speed because when enlightenment goes off, I'm gonna get 20% attack speed from there, and it's only gonna let me go to 100% because of the caps, because of the dumb attack speed caps. But we've made a small adjustment because Pit is really dense. We do not need the Zek room, so I've swapped I swapped Zek, the ultimate reducing one, with Cry for the Spiritborn Vortex, because I was really feeling the lack of raiment. You do want, in harder content, you do want some form of a pull on this, because you want to squish them all together. That way when the Azurewrath goes off, they all get hit by it. So let's go back into another 85, and let's see. Because your attack speed's so high, that lets you run an Elixir of Resourcefulness, which I really like. If you're feeling like a baby, you can run one of these, and look at that. Look how much life we're getting. Shroud of False Death is here to stay, and nothing can replace it. It's OP. But I'm going to run an Elixir of Resourcefulness. I'm going to run a Redamine Buzz to get me some HP. I'm going to run a Chorus of War, which is, these ones are expensive. You don't have to. But the funny thing is I actually can't run a Redamine Buzz because I need a Soothing Spices. These are both type 2. I need a Soothing Spices, and then I can run a type 1 Sage's Whisper because I need this to hit my res. So let's get in there. I'll cast a couple times and show you that the res is Gucci. Like, we're getting there. 69%. We're pretty close. And let's get in there. So I'm gonna do some more testing with what rune procs the Spiritborn Vortex the fastest, and that's what'll be on the planner. So also, here's a little tip in case you didn't know. So the mobs on the second floor are bugged. The mobs on the second floor in pits are bugged, and they have less health than the mobs on the first floor. So sometimes it's in your best interest to zoop past all these guys, like take the first floor to a reasonable amount to where you think you won't have to backtrack down to the first floor again. But I'm kind of new. Let's see. I'm just gonna keep going. Let's see if I can get a nice little Spiritborn pull. There we go. So it kind of pulls them together a bit. That's not too shabby. It ain't no raiment, but it will do. Alright, I'm just going to keep going. I want to get to the second floor. I want that juicy lower health. And I'm not sure if it happens every time, but it's been reported by a few people. This is Diablo 4, Vessel of Bugs. I just love snakes. I do kind of like that cry only goes off when you're standing still, because then it goes up, it doesn't go off like mid, you know, it will never go off when I'm running like this. It'll only ever go off when I'm sitting standing still and like want to pull enemies into me. But honestly, in my humble opinion, I think a T85 is a really good measure of whether a build is good. Especially given Sork right now. Like, if your Sork build can, like, reasonably blast an 85, and you don't feel like it's a slog, and, like, you do it in roughly 4, 5, 6 minutes, I think your build's pretty strong. I know we have some builds that are approaching 100 or 105, but quite frankly, I just don't really care. Doing a pit for 14 minutes isn't fun to me. I don't care if the build's stronger. It doesn't look that fun. Most of this game, honestly, at this point, is literally just min-maxing your character for the sake of it. If you really want a pit push, you should probably just go play Spiritborn. Because, I don't know, I think people are going to watch Sork pit clears and they're like, sweet. Well, Spiritborn's doing 150, so, like, good for you. that's sort of my opinion on it. And see, we got pretty tanky. I'm surviving some pretty big ground explosions there. But I digress on the whole pit thing. I don't really care. I just don't care this season. I just want builds that are fun, that farm Horde good, that farm Undercity fast, that can boss, that can do Helltide, that can do whatever. And Orange Herald has been doing a really good job in the pit. It's because the enemies are tanky enough for me to get a lot of hits off them. But when I'm doing something like Gauntlet, or Undercity, there's probably enough mobs. But when I'm doing something, not Gauntlet, like Horde, I was having huge uptimes and I really needed that Zek rune. So it's, again, it's Tam Ohm. This is pretty standard. And then Lith Cry, or it might be Pak Cry. We don't know. Pak is the one where you spend resource.